Yeah, so what I'm planning to do tonight is I've got some slides to share with you, which I'll share in a moment. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes for anybody else to join us. And I will have the chat open. So I'm going to try to answer any questions that come up for you along the way. If it's pertinent to what I'm talking about, I'll like weave it into what I'm talking about at the time. If it's not, I'll come back to it at the end. If I forget you, please give me a nudge. So feel free to drop any questions in the chat as we go along, and I will try to have a look at those as we go. I'll also try to juggle everything and let people in as they turn up. But I think because we've got quite a lot to go through, I've refreshed my slides today and I've got some more stuff in there. I think we better get started. And this is, as I mentioned, being recorded. So those that have signed up can get this on the replay. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to share my slides. Where are we? There we are. Once again, if you can let me know that you can see that, okay, that would be great. Yeah, great, brilliant, thank you. Now then, let me just see the chat, move that over there. And sorry, I'm just having to minimize some things so that I can see everything. There we go. Oh, okay, sorry about that. My computer wasn't playing games. So you can see my slides. So today we're going to be talking about activating your VA business in 2026. What I'd be interested to know is where are you on your VA business, VA, journey already? Are you just thinking about it? Have you made a start and doing your research and putting something together? Are you actually calling yourself a VA and actively working? Let me know, excuse me, in the chat where you are on your journey. I must apologize. I've got the tail end of a cold and it's got this really irritating cough. So if I need to take a drink, I've got a throat sweet to try and alleviate it. So do bear with me. I'm really sorry about that. Experience currently employed and wanting to restart VA work. Good, great. Seriously, if you're looking into it and desperately want to start it soon, I know how that feels. Don't blame me, Amy. Hopefully, you'll feel inspired after tonight's webinar. Okie doke. Right, what I'm going to do is get stuck in. So what we're going to be covering tonight is I'm going to just, if we haven't met before, I'm just going to introduce myself. We're going to look at what a VA is. We're going to look into the VA industry today, and we're going to be talking about whether it's for you. I'm going to run you through some business essentials, where to start, where most people get stuck. And then, if you wouldn't mind bearing with me to the end, I want to talk to you about my VA course. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I want to just say that right from the top, but I want to be completely transparent in that I am going to be talking about that later on today. Um, just a minute, we've just got somebody else joining us. Um, and I would really love it if you could stay to the end. I completely won't be pushing any hard sales at all. And I also would be really grateful if you think that somebody else might find it of benefit. So I'd really love to share that information with you. So first of all, have we met before? If we haven't, just a quick intro. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. So I am Paula Edwards. I am the founder of Advanced Virtual Assistants. I'm going to talk you through the timeline of the business in a minute. But I was born in North Devon and I married into the Air Force in 1995. So that's 30 years now. In that time, we've moved 16 times. We've got three grown-up children and two miniature long-haired Dachshunds. But throughout the time, I've had many jobs. Every move, I've managed to find work, and usually with some element of career progression. And I've, along the way, gained lots of experience and things to bring to the table. So generally, had a very I mean, I've absolutely loved living all the places we've loved and having the opportunity to meet people and see different parts of the world. But it has meant that I haven't felt very mentally fulfilled in terms of what I'd hoped for myself in my adolescent years. I had these high hopes of achieving something. And so the other thing I found is that I got fed up of reinventing myself. And that wasn't just with work, in all honesty. It was like every time we move, you've got to get your friendship group together, your network, find out where to have your hair done, use sat nav to get to Tesco. It was so I did get a bit tired of that. But in 2016, we were in Germany at that time, and there were no work opportunities for me. And one of my ex colleagues was setting up a business, and he asked me to help him with the admin. And I say the stars aligned because so many things. I remember reading an article about business startup course that was available to me. There was various things that just happened all at the same time, and it just seemed the right time to start this business. In all honesty, I did actually start to build this business back in 2005 because I was working for somebody in Scotland when we lived there, and then we were moved to Cheltenham, and I worked remotely for that person and another business for a little while. But I must admit, my youngest was about one at the time, and I lost my nerve a little bit. One of my dear family friends said something that was enough to make me lose my confidence, and I didn't pursue it. But anyway, these things happen for a reason, don't they? And I had lots of jobs in the meantime that have given me lots of knowledge and experience to take forward into this business. So I actually formally set myself up with HMRC in 2017. And by 2018, I took on my first associate because I was fully booked and I wanted to get involved with the new work coming into the business. And I took on associates to pick up, and I'll explain what an associate is later if you don't already know, to pick up the work that I was already doing. And then in 2019, I took on my first team member. That's Vicky, my social media manager, and she's still with me today. And then in 2020, I got tired of so many people asking me how I'd created what I'd created that I decided to write it down. And our course was written in 2020. And then in 2021, undertook the Certified Director of Operations course and decided to go down that route. And in 2022, we were busy because the company became a limited company and we went VAT registered. And then in 2023, we launched the membership. 24, we launched the OBM course. So I wrote the OBM course because I had so many inquiries for people to work with me, and I didn't have enough people to deliver the services. And what I decided to do is write a course based on the work that I knew that I had given to all of the clients up to that point, and all of my experience I put in one place and into our OBM course. So that was launched in 2024. And then last year we launched our VA Accelerate course, which is currently kind of dormant. I haven't done much with it, but that was for virtual assistants that had started their business, started delivering the services, but hadn't really looked closely at actually building a business around it. They were just more focused on delivering the service. And so this is where I see a lot of problems in businesses, which I'll come to again a bit later. So, quick sort of whistle-stop tour of our timeline of how Advance has grown over the years. So, what exactly is a VA? Well, I like this explanation. I'm going to read it out if you don't mind. A virtual assistant is a highly skilled, independent professional who remotely provides administrative, technical and/or creative business support services. So I think that's really quite a good explanation. It's quite holistic. It explains everything. And I think what's important to remember is that a virtual assistant isn't the job description. It's more of an adjective. It describes what you're doing because, in all honesty, there's so many services that a virtual assistant could deliver. I think I've got a brochure of over 150 services that some people deliver as a virtual assistant. Obviously, not all of them. Lots of people have got various skills, and it's essentially delivering any of those things on a remote basis. Now, most often they're on a self-employed basis as well, but it's not 100% of the time. Sometimes what you see is that there are some employed positions, but you see less of that in all honesty. So I was going to talk to you a little bit about the VA industry today, and this is some of the new slides that I've put in today because these are some of the questions that have been coming up. I don't know if any of you have noticed, we've been doing free one-to-one mentoring sessions last week and this week. They always get really booked up really quickly, but it gives me a good idea of what people's questions are, and this has come up quite a lot. So I'm just going to share a few fun facts with you. So the size of the industry in the VA industry now has just grown exponentially, and they say that it's projected to reach over 7 billion by 2028. And this growth is driven by evolving business needs, increasing reliance on remote work, and technological advancements. None of that's going to be a surprise to you. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? The post-COVID era of the people working from home. I know a lot of the bigger organisations are trying to get people back in the office, but that's on the employed basis. But I think a lot of us have got a taste for this work, remote working or hybrid working, and we're kind of reluctant to give it up, aren't we? So this doesn't surprise me at all. And apparently, in 2025, Deloitte reported that in their recent analysis, they estimate significant growth, reflecting on strong demand for outsourced services. So I think that this totally reflects what I'm seeing in the industry is that I mean, excuse me, my throat's playing up. The Last year we saw quite a lot of demand of companies speaking to me about trying to move their whole business, their bricks and mortar physical business, to move it completely online. And I must have spoken to at least half a dozen in the second half of last year about doing that, like big plumbing companies and things like that. Um, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Jan. Backed up my facts there. That's really great. Thank you. Um, Um, yeah, what I'm seeing is, I mean, I remember speaking to one lady comes to mind that she had a plumbing business, and so she had a number of plumbers that were out in vans all day, but she also had offices with the admin team running managing the schedule and ordering parts and that type of thing. And it was her worst nightmare. This business was driving her into the ground. And it was having the employed staff that was the problem, a big part of the problem. And so I said, well, why have you got offices? It's like, because that's what you do, you know. And so we had several long conversations. But I mean, what people are realizing is you don't have to have a physical office. People don't have to physically go to an office to deliver those services. And so many conversations last year were around moving the business to completely remote and potentially with the outsource model. So it's really interesting times, I think, of what's going on in the industry at the moment. Obviously, this reflects the broader trend of remote working. And the shift towards more remote work means that businesses more than ever need the virtual support, making the market large and continually growing. Another question I get asked a lot is the market saturated? And I like to say no, it's not saturated. It's busy. It's definitely busier, but it's not saturated. And I think was it you, Michelle, that said you're coming back to it? You've probably recognised that yourself. I can't remember which one of you said you're coming back into the industry. You've probably recognised that yourself in that it's definitely a lot noisier, the business these days, and there's more virtual assistants out there. But it doesn't mean it's truly saturated. It just means it's continuing to evolve and it's competitive, about what business is and anything that's working and is a growing industry. There's going to be competition because, of course, other people are going to get on the bandwagon, aren't they? So what I would say is there's a lot of people that are offering basic admin help. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's one of the most in-demand services, but that's where it's more saturated because more people have got those skills. So there are businesses that are looking at more specialized support, like EAs, for example. So PAs, EAs, really good PAs and EAs are definitely in demand. Even working back into the corporates on a self-employed basis, there's definitely demand for that. Things like tech virtual assistants, marketing, like having any marketing experience or social media manager, that type of thing. So, and specific industry knowledge like law or that type of thing. So it's definitely less noisy in those areas. Um, what else? Who works with a virtual assistant? So really, I've got a little graphic to show you in a minute, which I'm going to come to. But really, the world's your oyster. I don't think I can exclude anybody that isn't open to working with a virtual assistant. And if they're not, it's because they don't understand what the role is yet. I mean, obviously, so many people know so much more about the virtual assistant industry, and so many people know what it is. I mean, when I very first started out, I was having to explain to just about everybody what a virtual assistant is. And I could see from, me trying to explain it that it was just not, they weren't getting it. But these days, very much more widely known. What I've noticed is that we tend to follow suit with what's going on in Australia and in the States. And they were much further ahead of us in terms of, adopting the virtual assistant role. And then after that, the online business manager role, which is what we're seeing coming in now. So I can't, there's not really an industry that couldn't work with a virtual assistant. There are more that are more open to it because they've moved more quickly into it. And as I say, I've got a graphic to share. And why does the demand exist? Well, that's because, basically business owners are overwhelmed and time poor. And also we fit quite a nice little niche in a way in that predominantly smaller businesses that aren't quite brave enough to employ staff. People think that the natural order of events is to take on employees when you're busy, but there's always a huge nervousness about taking on employees because of the obvious reasons, really, the commitment, things around employment law, the financial implications in terms of paying pensions and holiday and all of those things. So it makes a virtual assistant a really obvious choice when they're really at their early stages of growth. So that's a really obvious demand that is out there. But it really isn't just limited to that. It's essentially any business owners that are overwhelmed and time poor, is what I say. So here's a graphic that I referred to. Who works with virtual assistants. This is the vast majority of business consultancy and coaching. I mean, that's quite a broad amount of people because if you think about it, really, I mean, coaching could be anything. People like myself who've got courses, it could be really any type, any industry, any courses. Definitely people that have got online courses, education, that type of thing. They're definitely very open to it. But I mean, I don't need to read them all out to you there. You can see the types of industries that typically use virtual assistants, but quite honestly, it's not specific, it's not just limited to those that you can see there. And we have probably clients in pretty much all of those areas, I would say, or have done in the past, if not currently. Excuse me. So what types of VAs are there? What we have is what we call a generalist VA. So I was referring to that earlier in a way, and that is general admin, general inbox management, diary management, that type of thing. General admin, general bit of customer service, potentially onboarding clients, offboarding clients, maybe answering inquiries in an inbox, spreadsheets, you name it, anything sort of that we would lump together in that general admin. Excuse me. Or we have what we call specialist VAs, which are people that tend to niche down into various things. So it could be bookkeeping, it could be a tech VA, it could be social media, it could be that it's one type of tech specifically, like I know people that do like HubSpot setups, or that's a type of technology, it's a CRM, or it could be Dubsado, or these are all specific softwares that people are a bit overwhelmed to do the setup themselves. And so that some people like niche down into being a specialist in a certain type of software. Also, we have, I don't like these terms, but I'm not even sure where they come from. But in case you hear them, I wanted to share it with you. The types of VAs that we have are like a career VA. So that's somebody like me who makes it their full-time job. It's my full-time focus. And I treat it like it's my full-time job. But then we have hobby VAs, which I think is a bit disingenuous, really, but that's more that it fits around the family. So, and not just that actually, or just any other commitments, to be honest. Things like some people work 9:30 to 2:30 during school hours, for example, or we've had people come through our courses that are like close to retirement, but still want to bring in a little bit of cash, a little bit of extra cash. I actually had a call with somebody yesterday who said she's not bothered about the money. It's about the having a purpose and using her brain still. So we all have different reasons why we come to this. And essentially, what I want for everybody is to create what suits you now, because what suits you now could be different to what suits you in the future. If you're somebody who's doing the school run still, you might want to create something like that for yourself. But later on, you might want to move into making it more of a full-time job. This is the beauty of being a virtual assistant. You can make it fit with your life at that stage, grow it or shrink it or whatever it is that suits you. And then finally, the side hustle, again, and not a phrase I'm really a fan of, but it degrades the role, I think. But it's doing it on top of a full-time job so that they can bring in some extra cash and maybe do some work in the evenings. And this works really well if you want to work with somebody in a different country, for example. I was talking to somebody yesterday who specializes in working with legal teams, and one of her clients is in Australia, and so she does the work when the children are in bed. Or it also works well with things like social media that can be done at any time of day, or the bookkeeping that can be done at any time of day. I would say PA and anything to do with the inbox and diary management, where you've got to be available in the 9 to 5, is going to be a little bit more tricky. But definitely there's work that can be done outside of the 9 to 5. And then there's the associate role. An associate VA is somebody who works for what we call a lead VA. So I would be considered a lead VA because I've got a team of virtual assistants that work with my clients. So the client belongs to me, they're contracted with me, but my VAs work on my behalf. They're all self-employed. They invoice me, I invoice the client. And they would normally take about 60 to 70% of the income as an associate role. But the benefits of being an associate is that it's quite a nice way to get started. I worked for 2 people as an associate VA when I started out, but so it feels like a nice, safe way to get started. You've got the umbrella, the support of the lead VA. Certainly in my team, I like to give lots back. We've just invested in AI training for all of our team. And when I find good virtual assistants that work on my team, I want them to stay with me. But it might be that you don't want to do that. I know I didn't, so I can't be a hypocrite. But I did the associate work up to a point, but then I wanted to earn 100% of what I was capable of earning, and not the 60 to 70%. So when that work died out, I didn't continue doing the associate work. I didn't want to let anybody down, of course, but so that's how I did it. But I've got people on my team that only work with me, and are not interested in finding their own clients because they're not really fond of the marketing, which is very common. But I'll share some more facts about the associate position. I've got another slide coming up. Oh, here we are. I didn't know what was next. So I've told you what an associate is, and I've shared what a lead VA is. I would be considered the lead VA. And the average rate for an associate VA is £21.97 an hour. This is according to the Society of Virtual Assistants survey from last year, 2025. And the best place to find associate work is social media. I see posts all the time in Facebook groups, people's websites like mine. You can apply via my website to be on my team, or at least put your name forward. And face-to-face meetings, always a really good way to find business. So is being a VA for you? Well, this is the big question, isn't it? What I want to share is the importance of mindset. And I know it sounds a little bit woo, and I realized I started off years ago saying I'm not very woo, but I've given up with that. I've realized I'm more woo than I realized. And I don't actually think mindset is very woo. It was just considered it a few years ago. But I think that the thing is with mindset is that it's the thing that can stop you. You've got to get past it. So many of us lack belief in ourselves. Unfortunately, life beats us down a little bit, and I see it so many times, especially with ladies, which I do predominantly work with women. And it's sad, I lump myself in with this. Mindset is something that you have to keep on working at, to recognize that you're your brain is trying to keep you safe and stop you moving forward. And you have to recognize that you need to push through these things sometimes and have some belief in yourself to be able to progress your business. So it's being a little bit resilient and strong to recognize this and maybe do some work around this. I think it's all continual work in progress to keep stronger about these things. It's also really good to have a bit of self-leadership. We often are, obviously, we work for ourselves and we're at home a lot of the time or wherever you choose to work from, but it's quite isolating, isn't it? So it's somebody you need to be a bit self-motivating in that you can manage your own time and get up and do the things that you need to do and fulfill your commitments work-wise, without any direction. I think that's the thing I'm trying to say with self-leadership. So you need to be kind of motivated and driven, I guess. Like I've got there, a bit of resilience always helps as well, because being a business owner, sometimes things don't always go right. I know that's really quite a scary and terrifying thought, isn't it? And I can't deny I've had some really tough times in the business, but I thankfully can count on one hand how often that's happened in the last 10 years. So you do need a bit of resilience to sort of brush yourself off and pick yourself up and put it down to experience. I think if you push through the fear. We fear failure. And I think that I see this all the time that people fear failure and it's enough to not even let you get started. And I think that if you can not use the word failure and see it, anything that doesn't go the way that you'd planned, see it as an opportunity to learn and grow from that. And it really helps with your resilience and pushing through these things. And the other thing I'd say is a growth mindset. And this is Carol Dweck, who wrote the book Mindset, which is fantastic. She talks about growth mindset, but it's believing that you can, because quite honestly, you can always do anything you put your mind to. It might take you a while to learn it. It might take you longer than the next person, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. And it's having that is no such thing as I can't. It's giving things a go. And I think in the VA industry, with technology moving on as quickly as it does, we need to be open to learning new things. I'm not saying you need to know all of the things, and you definitely don't need to be a tech wizard, but we need to be moving forward and having a keen interest in continual learning. And I think honestly, that's why I get so much satisfaction out of what I do every day, because I absolutely love to learn. And so it suits me really well to, keep my mind open and keep learning all these amazing things. Okay, so want to move on to business essentials now. Please do drop any questions into the chat. And those of you that joined us a bit later, I said please do drop any questions into the chat. I'm really happy to try and answer them as we go, or I'll come back to them later. Are we all still awake? Is everybody still with me? Yeah, I can hear that, Janice. So that's good. At least you are still with us and still awake.
Yes, I'm listening.
Great, great. Um, you're welcome, Amy. So, business essentials, just a few things about that you need to think about. The financial outlay. Luckily for us, it's a really easy and low risk business to go into because there's very little financial outlay when you start your VA business. Essentially, we've got the equipment to think about, which I'll talk about in that final bullet. They're the things that we might need to purchase some things there. We will need to buy contracts. I really recommend that you don't muck about and you buy good contracts. It's really important to protect yourself. Don't be tempted to download something off the internet, because quite more often than not, it's potentially an American contract and therefore would not stand up for those of you that are in the UK. So be really careful about contracts and make sure you get something that's fit for purpose. There are a few lawyers that write specific VA contracts. I'm really happy to share who we use. They're absolutely fabulous. So they can be kind of like it depends on what you get, but around about the £50 mark, and you can just use it time and time again. ICO registrations. That's the Information Commissioner's Office. This is for the UK as well. This is to protect data and manage people's data. You need to be registered with the ICO. That is £45 a year, I believe, if you pay on direct debit. It might be 50 if you don't. But there's a little quiz or survey on the ICO website that you can put the details in and it'll spit you out the other side to let you know whether you need to register. But I'm yet to find anybody that doesn't. The likelihood is that you do. That's if you're UK based. Oh, how sweet, Amy. Got feeding a baby. Oh, that's so cute.
Mhm.
Um, Insurance, insurance is best practice. There's no governing body that oversee virtual assistants, so nobody's going to tell you off for what you do and don't do at this stage, unless, of course, it breaks the law, you know. Um, but I really recommend you take out insurance. It protects you, it protects your clients. It is relatively inexpensive, and there's been a couple of times, whilst I've never claimed on my insurance, thankfully. I do have legal advice with my insurance policy, and that's been invaluable. So it's just that sort of peace of mind, isn't it? And then finally, maybe you want to think about a website, and they don't have to cost a lot these days. You can actually probably do a lot of it yourself if you want to teach yourself. That's what I did to start with. Back when I started, having a website was like over £1,000, and I wasn't willing to invest that at that time. So I had a go at doing it myself. But these days, it's even easier and so much cheaper. So it might be something you think about, but you definitely don't need it to start with. It's really up to you. Then there's the time investment. People ask about the time investment. I think it's important to remember that when, like I alluded to earlier, when you decide to set up as a virtual assistant, we're all talking about delivering the services, which of course is the whole point of it. I always like to talk, I'm sorry, I know I'm boring, but I always talk about a plumber. And if you think about a plumber thinks about delivering plumbing services. And when they go into business, they want to deliver plumbing services. It's much easier to think about the plumber because we do admin. Doing the running the business around it is kind of part of our day job. But if we liken it to a plumber doesn't go into business to do invoicing or marketing or customer service or manage their inbox. And that's why they fail miserably at all of those things. But what you've got to remember is you've got to do all of those things for your business. You are creating a business. Yes, you need to deliver the services, but you need to do all of these things as well. So that's what we call non-billable time. And so you've got to factor in, you might work it out that you've got, I don't know, let's say 80 hours a month to sell. Have you factored in the fact that you need to do your own invoicing, your own marketing, and all of those things? So remember that when you're thinking about the time that you've got to sell. But in terms of time investment, as I mentioned earlier, with the different types of VAs, really it can be completely up to you. You can sell as much time as you've got, or as little time as you've got. It really is up to you how you want to set that up for yourself. The kind of insurance, I've never had my own business before. No, it's I recommend that you get hang on, professional indemnity is the important one. Usually they lump public liability in with that. We don't normally need that because we aren't having people come into our offices or anything. But if you were to meet a client out and you spill coffee on their laptop, it might be worth doing. And to be honest, they usually lump it in together anyway. And the other thing I've got is cyber insurance. A lot of people think it's not worth the paper it's written on, but for me, well, since we've done our Cyber Essentials here, it comes free with Cyber Essentials, people who are Cyber Essentials accredited. But I did buy cyber insurance before because I just felt like one of the biggest risks that I had in the business was people's data. So I wanted to be really sure that I was covering myself with those things. Okay, what else to tell you? Business setup. Think about what business structure you want to set yourself up as. Most people start as a sole trader, but you could start a partnership or a limited company. And then you will need to register with HMRC in whichever way you decide to go. If you are a sole trader, then you can earn up to, this is in the UK again, You can earn up to £1,000 before you need to register with HMRC as a self-employed. But so don't worry if like all the work comes flooding in and you haven't quite got everything in place because you can actually get going. And of course, you need your bank account. And I really recommend that you have a separate bank account for the business because if nothing else, it really helps with managing your accounts. It's really obvious what's gone in and what's going out. And you don't need a fancy, expensive business account. You don't have to pay for an account, and a lot of these online accounts are really great for that type of thing. Your legals, I mentioned the Information Commissioner's Office. You do need to look into that. I would suggest you look into the GDPR, especially if you're UK based, looking at making sure that you are managing people's data. Um, there may be things around policies on your website as well that are legalities, but I'm not going to get into all of that right now. And then equipment, what do you need? Well, really basic computer. I suspect most of you have got one of those already. All I'd say is make sure that you've got a computer that's half decent because we sell time for money. Yes, that's right. Sounded wrong then in my head. Because you're selling time for money, you need to make sure that you're not got that whirly wheel of doom whilst you're on the clock working. So make sure you've got a half decent computer, and the same goes for the Wi-Fi. And a phone, of course. I mean, most of us have got a phone anyway, but I mean, in all honesty, my phone is hard. I still hardly ever use my phone for the business in terms of taking telephone calls. Um, because everything's online and using Zoom and so on. But it is, of course, you've got a phone anyway, but it's really helpful for things like my banking app and stuff like that. So where to start? What I usually say to people is think about your vision. What I mean by that is, what do you want it to look like? I think I've got another slide later. What do you want it to look like? I'm actually just going to jump forward a slide because I've got a feeling I've got a slide for all of these. Yeah. Okay. So ask yourself what you would like your life to look like in 1, 3, and or 5 years' time. It's sometimes really hard to think that far ahead. So if you can't put a date on it, just think about what you'd like to create for yourself. What would you if you could design your life, you don't have to tell anybody this because I know sometimes you feel like a bit embarrassed even saying it out loud, and a bit arrogant to think that you can have these things. But if you weren't to tell anybody what you wanted to create for yourself, and you just wrote a little, like, did a bit of journaling about what it was, what would that actually look like? Because I think it's really helpful to get some clarity around that because that's what I want for you. That's what I'm passionate about helping people, build for themselves. So that's a little exercise for you to do when you've got a bit of time. Sit down with a coffee and have a think about it. Also think about what services that you are able to offer. And I would say that there's two things really, but for now, just think about what you can already offer. I know all of you have got things that you can offer right now. It's you don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. It's no competition. I don't want you doing this comparisonitis thing where it seems everybody knows everything and you know nothing. Honestly, I've heard it all before. I know you've got something you can already sell and just worry about that for the time being, but have a think about it. You know, write write a list of everything that you've delivered up to this point. Maybe it's in jobs, maybe it's in voluntary positions, maybe you're brilliant at doing kids' parties and your project management skills are amazing. Maybe it's you're on the PTA for the school, whatever it is, think about where your skills and expertise are and just like make a list and think of everything. But then I also want you to think about what you actually enjoy doing. So, for example, you might be great at bookkeeping but hate it. I don't really want you to go into bookkeeping if that's the case. Now, what you'll find is if that is you, the chances are you will sell bookkeeping because you can do it. But ultimately, when you get to a point where you've got a bit more established, we get to choose the things that we want to do. And you might find that hard to believe, but I can absolutely tell you it's the truth. And I want you to be heading towards the things that, you enjoy to do. So I've shared this slide again from the Society of Virtual Assistants survey last year, because these are the most in-demand services. And you can see there, I mean, I think it's quite obvious really, but you can see there the services that are most in demand. And like I said at the beginning, your general admin is the thing that most people want. Okay. Think about who you want to work with. So who's your ideal client? I've got this little graphic here. To be honest, you don't have to be this detailed. If you spoke to somebody who's in marketing, they would tell you that you do, and that's kind of why I'm letting you know. But ultimately, what I want you to get from this exercise is to think about who it is that you want to work with. So you've thought about the services. Now, who do you want to deliver them to? And the reason why I want you to think about this is because of your marketing and to get the clarity for yourself. And think when you are really clear that you want to let's think want to do general admin and PA services to people, to clinical psychologists, private clinical psychologists. I mean, I'm being really specific. You can really write your marketing content really directed at those specifically, or maybe you want to do PA services to people in the wellness space, but it really helps you to get clear about who you're talking to in your marketing, but not only that, where they hang out. So I think people who've got private practice in clinical psychologists, they're not going to be hanging out on Instagram necessarily. They're probably more likely to be on LinkedIn. So I'm using this as an example, and I may be wrong, I'm guessing. Or if you were to be, excuse me, talking to, wanting to work with personal trainers, for example, you might find them on Instagram and not LinkedIn. So you get my point. So I want you to think about that. Excuse me, I need a throat sweet to stop me coughing. Um, and then how do I find clients? This again, another graphic for you. This is how people find clients. The most successful way is word of mouth. The reason for that is most people buy through knowing them, liking them, trusting them, and that's the process that we go through. So when we know somebody, we decide we like them, and we therefore trust them. We're much more. That's how we would make that buying decision. And so when somebody has said to, let's say, we're back to my plumber. Say somebody said to our plumber, "Oh, you want to speak to Jan Alexander because she is a fabulous VA." Then guess what? The plumber's going to say, "I want to speak to Jan because my best mate tells me she's the best." And so you yourself will probably make buying decisions based on other people's recommendations, who you trust. So that's why word of mouth works so well, it's so powerful. And that's why face-to-face networking is the next best one because we fast track that know, like, and trust. So just remember that when you're doing your marketing. But all of the other ways are not a waste of time, they're just a bit more slow progress. So, some fun facts for you. The average hourly rate for a UK virtual assistant last year, and I say last year, the survey came out at the tail end of last year, is £34.16. It was £25 an hour when I started. So I think a lot of people are quite shocked to that. Actually, I was going to make you guess. I forgot about that. Damn it. Out of interest, did any of is that quite shocking to any of you, or did you have a good idea that that's what it was? Let me know in the chat. That would have been a good game. I'm cross with myself now. Yeah, I think it's quite a lot higher. It's jumped up in the last year or 18 months. It's jumped up, and I do know VAs charging £40 an hour. Now I say that when we're back to our lead VAs, very common for lead VAs to be charging £40 an hour, but I do know some one-man band VAs charging £40 an hour as well. So it really depends on, if you're fully booked and you're a super duper EA, then you should be charging £40 an hour. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. Yeah, it's quite a good rate, isn't it? So what the reason I share that with you is to, well, firstly, inspire you to think this is what you need to do. But secondly, when and if you do start your business, I don't want you to undersell yourself. So bear that in mind. The average number of clients people have got is 9. The full-time VA average turnover, 53,822. That's not a bad salary, is it? Don't forget that's turnover, that's not profit. So they'll be paying for things like all of their softwares and their insurances and everything out of that. But obviously, as I mentioned, costs are low in a VA business. Of course, you've got to pay your tax on that, and you don't get any holiday pay or anything like that. So it is a very nice income if it fits around your family and you're not paying childcare or dog walkers or whatever else it is. And the average time it takes people to find their first client is 1 to 3 months. So I don't think that's too bad. So where most people get stuck is um, they don't know where to start. They get overwhelmed. They get information paralysis. And what I mean by that is they go round. When I first started being a VA trainer, there was only about four of us doing it in the UK, that is. Now there's so many, I don't even know what the number is. There's quite a lot of people gone into VA training. And out there is lots of free information, which is fantastic. But I think what people do is they go around gathering all the free information and get a little bit overwhelmed. And sometimes it's conflicting information as well. So nothing wrong with that. Absolutely fill your boots if that's helpful to you. If you think it's going to overwhelm you, what I would say to you is, find one or two people who you really trust and feel like you're aligned with, and just listen to them and just shut down the noise for everything else. Otherwise, you are going to definitely get overwhelmed with the amount of information out there. Um, the other thing where people get stuck is they don't believe in themselves. And I think that's not just when you're starting. This is a roller coaster of a ride of days where you don't believe in yourself and days that you do. And I still have the same now, 10 years on. So just know that that's going to happen. Have a think about how you can put in things in place, strategies to help you move past that stage. And I always say to my students, if you don't believe in yourself, then borrow my belief. I remember a coach of mine saying that to me years ago, and it was so powerful. Borrow my belief, because I believe that you can do it. I know that you can do it. I did it. If I did it, you definitely can do it. So in those days that you don't believe in yourself, then borrow my belief. Another thing is people have issues with boundaries, and what I mean by that is they're so eager to please and do a good job that they don't protect their own boundaries, and then it becomes really insufferable. Things like if you answered a call from a client on a Saturday morning, for example, then that says to them that they can call you on a Saturday morning. And then it makes your life really difficult when you're having to answer you get very stressed about clients calling on a Saturday morning. So managing your boundaries is a really important thing to remember. The main question I get asked is how to find clients. I've shared a few ways that you can do that. Having your face-to-face networking, your social media strategies, direct outreach. There's so many marketing ways to market yourself. It's essentially you need to think about how people who don't know you exist today, how you're going to let them know that you do exist. And then procrastination is another thing. I had one lady that came to one of these sessions 2 years ago. Well, it's a bit longer than that now. And she signed up for our course on the last cohort that's just finished. So, that's procrastination if ever I saw it. Sometimes I think we think, I'll do it when, this child is this age, or I'll do it when this is this, or that is that. There's some sort of benchmark of a time that you've said you're going to do it. And in actual fact, what you're doing is your nervous system is keeping you safe and not wanting you to go into that unsafe space. And so you're looking for any reason to slow things up and not move into those things. Chloe's asked a question, but I know that she's jumped out the course. Jumped out. Chloe asked, in case she's watching it back on the replay, how difficult is it to juggle that many clients realistically? Oh, here she is. I think she's dropping in and out of the call. So yeah, in answer to Chloe's question, how difficult is it to juggle that many clients realistically? Yeah, it's a lot. I would say 9 clients is a lot to juggle. It's actually probably a little bit too much, because I think that you're going to have a very busy head trying to keep on top of all of those things. But I mean, for me, I would say sort of around about 6 to 7 is getting to the top end of what you want to do. But it really depends on, ultimately, we want to sell all the hours that we've got to sell. And if people are just buying small contracts, then you could be just doing 10 hours a month for 7 clients, for example. And this is why in the course I introduce you to ways of managing how you manage your client time and your client workload as well. Because it is a lot to remember. I remember when, if you remember back to my timeline, when I took on my first associate, it was because in January 2018, I got 4 new clients in the same month and it nearly killed me off. I would never recommend it. But worse than that, I think I'm trying to remember now. At that time, I don't think all four were, no, not all four were called Alex, but it meant that added to my current client load, I had 4 Alexes that I worked with. One was female, Alexandra. Then I had 2 Alexes that were in digital marketing. And then I had an Alec that was in shipbroking. Oh my gosh, trying to remember what everybody needed from me was just like such a headache. Yeah, so yeah, there are tools out there to help us manage that, but I would say that 9 is a lot in all honesty. What software or logistics are needed to do the work needed for clients, for example, where they just provide logins for emails and calendars? I've no idea where to start with this, and it's probably my biggest holdback. Yeah, so it really depends, Amy. Very often a client will give you an email, either access to their inbox. If you're doing inbox management, then of course you need access to their inbox. So for example, you might have be managing their inbox, making sure that, it takes all the busy noisiness and they just see the stuff that they need in there. So it's managing all the folders and everything like that, maybe setting up some automations to make that even easier. And they will just give you the passwords and let you have access to their inbox. And maybe they'll want you to respond to clients on their behalf. But also, what quite often happens is they'll either have like an Amy at their business, or they might have admin at their business or info or something like that. And that would be an inbox that you manage, because quite often clients like to look like they're a bigger organization than they actually are, and it might be just you and them. But if they've got an info at and Amy at, for example, sorry, their own name, the CEO's own name, and an admin at, it makes them look like they've got a bigger team. So they usually do that sort of thing. But I have to say, and the same is true of the calendars. Um, that is a really stressful time. I can't deny it. What getting access to clients into their softwares is a bit of a headache for them and you. But I think if you just accept that this is going to take a little bit of time, because there's all this two-factor authentication and everything now, then you just have to roll with it, because it's got to happen. It's a process you have to go through, and just accept that it's going to be a headache, but you will get through it. Um, and then another big thing I hear a lot about is people having this fear of being visible. And by that, I mean like showing up online, posting things. That was 100% me, and I'm still not brilliant at it. I think what I've learned over the years is that we as operators, people who like to be in the back office and make sure everything is working on track and everything, we love that. We love to help people. We love to make sure everything's working, but make me stand at the front. No, thank you very much. Most of us feel like that, apart from those that are marketeers, and then they're very comfortable with it. So a lot of people have this fear of like putting things online and things like that. And honestly, I think I'm probably worse than and all of you put together. It took me so long. But what I'd say is, what is the phrase they say? Something about a messy start is better than not starting at all, or something like that. And I've listened to a lot of the gurus, if you like, who say, they look back at their content way back in the beginning and like it's slightly embarrassed of it, but we all got to start somewhere. And it's just about being a little bit brave, pushing yourself out the comfort zone, and even just a tiny, tiny bit, and just keep growing, building on that. So I want to introduce you to my VA course, Activate. Thank you for staying to the end. I really appreciate it. It's a 10-week mentor-led program. And when I say mentor-led, I teach it live. I believe I'm the only VA trainer that teaches live. I do that because I want to understand what you want to achieve. I want to help you get there. And I want to make sure that you are moving forward. So there's 10 modules delivered weekly. Now, Sometimes we put some sort of break in the middle, so it could be over a 12-week period. It just depends on how it falls in the year. The course is CPD accredited. Um, as I said, 10 modules taught live. There's a training portal with videos and written content. So we've tried to address all learning styles. You can listen to them on audio, whilst you're doing the hoovering or something if you want to. We've had people do that. We've had dog walkers listening to it out on their dog walks. There's many workbooks, templates, and downloads. I don't want you to reinvent any wheel. I've tried to think of everything you're ever going to need with that. You have lifetime access to what we call our Up Level Lounge, which is a membership. And that's because questions come after you finish the course, and some people just don't want to go off in the big wide world without some continued support. So in the Up Level Lounge, which is the membership, we have 2 sessions a month of Q&A. Come along, bring anything you want, have your sandwich, have a chat with me and the rest of the community. Just listening to other people's questions is really quite fascinating. That's lifetime access to that now for everybody. We've decided that, that's when people need continued help. We have guest experts come to help us train. So I have a bookkeeper, a mindset coach, and an AI expert that come in and help us train those things. I mentioned the community. Because I've got my agency, we offer our associate opportunities to my current team and to my students. So if you fit the bill of a job that's come in and you want to work on my team, then I would definitely be having a chat with you. But I mean, I can't guarantee everything because I don't know what work's going to be coming in. We have an ever-growing masterclass library. And what I mean by that is once a month we do a free training in our Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, go and find us. And we have a free training. It's open to everybody, and it's a masterclass based on just questions that's going on in the industry currently. So this week we had one on AI, really interesting. But if when you buy one of my larger programs, so this course or the OBM course, and you've got access to the Up Level Lounge, you will have the full back library. So we've got 36 guest expert videos in there, and you can just dip into them as and when you need them. So if you're interested in the AI one, you can watch that one. They're all about an hour long. There's how to set up your LinkedIn profile, there's cybersecurity, there's contracts, there's like little mini trainings on, and so many things in there, and there's new ones every month being added. But the training is free to anybody who signs up, but they only get that one training. You will get access to the full back library to watch at your leisure. And then, of course, lifetime access to the course content. So from the live training, they're always recorded and they're put into the portal for you, and you've got that available to you for as long as I'm doing this business. Quick look at the curriculum. It's on the website if you want to have a look. We're going to talk about getting started and getting your mindset ready for starting. I'm going to get you to do your market research. I'm going to walk you through your branding, talk you through your business structure and what's going to be best for you. We have Louise, our bookkeeper, coming to do all the financials with you. Then we go deep dive into working with clients. Obviously, marketing is a huge module. I walk you through that. Systems, processes, automation, I walk you through those. Tools and technology and success path. I always like to share my screen, so I'll show you what we're doing in our business to actually show you it in real life so that you can see how it works. We've also got Gemma, who's our mindset coach. She does a session with each cohort to really help you to believe in yourself. What I was also going to say something there then. The other thing is I introduce you to technology along the way and to show you the technology that we're using to help you learn it along the way so that it doesn't feel in a really gentle way so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. So there's weekly live training with me, lifetime access to the course, lifetime access to the Up Level Lounge. You get a free 30-minute one-to-one with me. I did that originally so that I can get to know you and know what you want from the course. But if we've already had a call like that, you can use that 30-minute, later, maybe when the course is finished, if you want to use it how you want to use it. Then we have a focus session with Gemma, as I mentioned, and we have a welcome gift. A few fun facts, and I'll rattle through these. Over 50% of our students have their first client before the end of the course. One of our students was fully booked in 4 months. all students find the community hugely valuable, and actually they continue to meet on a Tuesday night or whatever suits them. You're never on your own, even after the course is finished. All the VAs and this isn't just my course, the Society of Virtual Assistants say that any VAs who have undertaken a course are more confident to set higher rates. I'm a Society of Virtual Assistant approved trainer. I wrote a course for Lisa Johnson. I don't know if you know her, but she's a guru on the online space. Go and look her up. I still work directly with clients, so I remain relevant to you. I have a thriving VA agency and we support our students wherever possible. Excellence is at our core. I add so much more to the course because I'm certified director of operations and I train online business managers. And there's, of course, the lines are blurred. So you're always going to be trained above, above VA level, if you see what I mean. And important to know that I invest a lot of money into training myself. So I've done so many courses. I've done two launch courses. I've done my director of operations. I'm currently doing a metrics and data and dashboard course. Honestly, I think I've got about 5 courses on the go at the moment. I love to learn, and I like to bring that to share with you guys. So the course itself is £1,500. That is actually a really good price for something that is taught live. So many of my coaches tell me to put the price up, but I want it to be accessible to more people. That's what's more important. My word of the year this year is impact, and I want to impact more people. I want to help more people get to where they want to go. We have 6 or 12-month payment plans as well, which makes it much more affordable. A fast action bonus if you sign up before midnight tomorrow night. We have Darren help you to create a website. It at least gets you start ranking on Google. You know, it's not a all singing, all dancing website, but it's something that's there, and you'll start to, as I say, start ranking with Google. And there's a pay in full bonus as well, where you can have a 50-minute one-to-one with me for up to 6 months after the course. So is it going to be one day or day one? You decide. The cart is open, which means you can buy the course straight away. It's on the website under the Academy and then Activate. Go and take a look. All the details are on there, and there's much more about what's in each of the modules as well. If you want to talk to me more about it, and there's literally genuinely no strings attached, I'm really happy to chat. Here is the link for booking a call. I will just try and find that. I had that ready to give to you and then wasn't ready for it, you see. This is what happens when you try and do everything yourself. Here we go. Right, there's the link if you would like to book a call with me to discuss this further. Honestly, I'm not going to be doing any hard sell, but if you're interested to know more, whether it's right for you, please do give me a shout. So thank you so much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. I'm really aware that I've spoken at a million miles an hour, but I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to pop across to take us off the slides now, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Please feel free to take yourself off mute or write them in the chat if you prefer. Anybody got any questions?
Sorry, Paula, it's
Yeah.
Jan here.
Hi, Jan.
Did you say that you were attached to an agency or you had an agency yourself?
Yes, I've got my own agency. So we've got under advanced virtual assistants. I've got the agency where we've got about 15 to 20 VAs working with my clients. And we work with all sorts of industries. Honestly, we've got literally everything you can imagine. Obviously, I've been going quite a long time, so my website does quite well on Google. We get found. My marketing machine has been going quite a long time. So when we get client inquiries that potentially my students might fit. I mean, so the way I work is I always go to my current team. If somebody on my current team is a good fit for that type of work, then I will go to them. But often they're already fully booked. My team are tending to work with two or three of my clients already.
Okay.
And if somebody hasn't got the skills, then we'll look at who's done the courses to see if they'd be a good fit for that client.
So what's the criteria then for becoming a member?
A
Is it
member of
of
what?
the, well, to be able to be part of your agency?
Um, Well, there isn't really any set criteria. What you can do is you can sign up via my website. If you go to the Meet the Team page at the bottom, there's a form to fill out, and there's a drop down saying that you're interested in being an associate. Then there's a big questionnaire to fill out. Anybody's welcome to do that. And when we're looking for specific skills or whatever, we will the process is we go to our current team. If they don't have the skills, we go out to our students. If they don't have the skills, then we go out to the people that came through the website.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great.
And if there's nobody on there, we go out to the Facebook group. But we often don't get that far. Usually we find somebody before then.
Yes, and the longer you're in business, of course, the more people find you on
Hmm.
LinkedIn. So you've got more of a choice, haven't you? So I was wondering whether we had to go through your course to be able to become associate.
No, you don't have to have. It's just easier because I already know that you're trained to a certain standard and I've gotten to know you quite well. And so that just, we ask what your values are as part of the questionnaire because we need people to align with our values, have our same work ethic, excellence is at the core, and
Yes,
so on. And so that when I was talking about know, like, and trust,
yes.
I know whether I know you, like you, and trust you much better because I've gotten to know you on the course. So that's why
Yeah,
we do it in that
totally.
way.
Yeah, totally. I understand.
Yeah,
Thanks for that, Paula.
no problem. Has anybody else got any questions? Don't be shy. No such thing as a stupid question. No? I obviously did a good job of all the slides and I've told you everything you ever need to know. Um, if there aren't any questions, and feel free to come off mute or put them in the chat if you're feeding babies. But if there aren't any questions, but something comes up for you later, please feel free to tag me in the Facebook group, and I'm really happy to answer it there. You're welcome, Amy. No problem at all. No, but I'm really pleased you've got something from it, everybody. I spoke to a lady today on my free one-to-one mentoring that I'm doing, who came to one of these and she set up her VA business and she did it without doing the course. But now she wants to do my OBM course. So it's fascinating how people go because she's grown a business and she's wanting to build out an agency. So she said that she got so much from this that she just went it alone and managed it. But some people prefer the handheld walk through fast track. So it's really horses for courses, isn't it?
I'm so not surprised, to be honest, because I think that the VA market has is increased so much,
Mm,
and for all sorts of people. And
mm.
it depends on the criteria that each people like yourself are offering, as to whether they might join or whatever they do. But learning is essential, isn't it, as well?
It is, yeah. And I think, like I mentioned, I really love learning. I get a lot from it. I'm passionate about it in actual fact, and so I think that that's really helped me to continue to grow. I mean, I've been working with. We've got Lara, who's just come on as working with us. We're sort of collaborating. She does AI for VAs, and she's got a quiz that she puts out so you can see where you are and how much you know about AI. And so I thought for a bit of fun that I would do her quiz. And she messaged me today and she said, "You've got the highest score ever." I'm like so proud of myself. I'm 53 and I know all this stuff about AI. Get me. But that's a case in point, isn't it? Age is nothing. You can. I just been fascinated to see what it can do for us, and I've really loved the whole process of it. It's great fun, and it's not just AI. There's so you don't have to get into those things. I don't want to put people off that you have to be super techie because you don't. But it's just like interesting to learn. I mean, even just working with different types of clients, you think, I've never worked with, I don't know, a property investor before. Well, I have, but I'm just an example. And you learn so much about that world, and then your other client is, I don't know, a lawyer, and you learn so much about that world. And it's even if it's not necessarily the tools and everything that they use, but it's just like a little look into each of these worlds, and I think that's what makes our job so exciting, really.
Yeah, I get it. And one of the other things that I think that will become even more of an increase is that people will want to continue their skills and perhaps don't or discriminate against for becoming employed or may not want to be employed, but
Mm,
to move on to the VA market as a more mature person will
yeah,
become more prevalent, and then you'll be gaining all those skills.
that's right.
Mm.
I tell you, it's one of the things. I mean, we've had ladies in their 60s do my course, and I think that's fantastic. So often, sometimes they don't necessarily need the money. Like the lady I was talking about, yes, who I met yesterday, it isn't about the money for her. It's about using her brain and having a bit of purpose. And she was, an inspiration, I thought, and that she's fortunate to be able to have a decent pension. So, she just wanted to do it for that reason. But I also know other people whose pension pots aren't quite what they'd hoped, and they want to top up their pension. And I just think this is the beauty of this industry. It can suit a wide range of ages, right from people, young people in their 20s who, I mean, I've got somebody on my team who's a uni student, for example. So I've got somebody right from there. Right, and I'm training people right up into their 60s because it really can be what you want it to be. And if you're somebody who wants to make a career out of it or keep dipping in and out of it, you can fit it. I think it was Amy saying she was feeding a baby. You can fit it around your children. We've got a lot of people that come on the course that have been on maternity leave, for example, and you can fit it around that at that time, or maybe you've got elderly parents you're looking after and you can fit it around that, or maybe you're somebody that just wants to be at home with your dog because you want to have a dog. I mean, it doesn't matter
Yes,
what the
most
circumstances
certainly.
are. Mm.
Hmm.
The flexibility is just amazing, and I'm just so want to spread the word that you can create this thing for yourself, and you know have a little something for yourself that does fit around whatever your circumstances are.
Definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
applaud it. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, ladies. Really, I think I've done quite well with that, with my coughing. When I did it yesterday lunchtime, it was awful. I couldn't stop. But thank you so much for giving up your evening. I really appreciate it. No problem, Chloe. I look forward to your one-to-one. Chloe's already signed up to the course, so I'm excited for her to get started. If any of you want to chat, please feel free to reach out. Honestly, you're not going to get pushy sales from me because I can't bear it, but I do want to help you get to where you want to go. Thanks for your time, then. We'll call it an evening. Have a good rest of your evening. And yeah, good, good. I'm glad it's inspiring. That's the whole point of it. Take care and hope to see you all again soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.